Hi there, my name is Belinda Dovson and welcome to the I Ching Cafe and our I Ching tutorial. And so this is the question we're going to work with in the tutorial today is, please advise C on unlocking joy. So let's work with your question. Really interesting considering that when we worked with the overview for 2021, Hexagram 58 joy was a key part. And I know this question has originated from our focus on the new normal episode, where we looked at joy being a key antidote to the oppression and exhaustion of the old normal or the old world now that we have COVID. Life before COVID, life after COVID. Right, so let's get into the question. Please advise C on unlocking joy. We'll work next at my desk to unpack this question and cast the coins and look at the interpretation of how this question can be answered. All right, so as I always do, we start by asking the question, please advise C on unlocking joy. All right, we blow it into the coins. That's my own special thing that I do. It might not be what you do. And let us cast these coins. And I think we'll speed it up while I do this part. Okay, so here we have our main lines. Okay, so let's draw them in. We have, let's start at the bottom. Okay, so yang, we have a yin changing in the second position. Yin, 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 yang. Okay, so this combination gives us hexagram 27 nourishment, okay, with our changing line in the second place. Nourishment is the open mouth, the bird with the open mouth. And now we draw our outcome, a relating hexagram, where we flip all the changing lines into their opposites. So this becomes a line, solid, and this one stays, and this one stays, and this one stays, and this one stays. And this is mountain over lake, which is 41 decrease. Okay, so we have a changing line in the second place. We have our outcome hexagram 41 decrease. And you know from the tutorials that I also like to show you what's called the nuclear hexagram, which is what is at the heart of what's going on. Okay, and so we form the nuclear by taking these lines as one trigram and these lines as the upper and redrawing that. So now we have yin, yin, yin. All right, yin, yin, yin. And our upper trigram, yin, yin, yin. Okay, which is hexagram 2, receptive. Okay, so let us have a look-see on what is coming to you, how the I Ching is wanting to support you. Okay, so in this question of joy and working with unlocking joy, the key thing here with this hexagram nourishment, this is the bird with the open mouth. Okay, that's supposed to be a bird. Okay. Oh, that does look like a bird. Okay. All right. And you know with birds, they've got this open mouth and they're going cheep, 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 looking and begging their mummies for worms and things to nourish them. So this is an open mouth. You see, that's the top jaw, that's the bottom jaw. Here's a big open mouth. Okay. So what a key theme around joy for you is how you work with nourishment, how you nourish yourself, okay, and how you nourish others. So you and others, all right. I would say that part of the process of unlocking joy is really unlocking an understanding of what brings you nourishment, okay, and that might be spiritual nourishment, physical nourishment, mental, emotional. Look at all four of those areas to really understand where joy can be found. What brings you nourishment? And it's so amazing that this hexagram has come up for you for this question, because it tells us the story of what we seek to nourish ourselves with is what brings us joy, and how we seek to nourish others brings us joy. I know I often talk on the channel about, choose your poison. It's no problem to go and watch, 4 episodes of Netflix in a row, but if that's your habit, if that's your habitual binging, does that really bring you nourishment? Okay, does that bring you something that fuels your soul, your emotions, your mind, or does it unpack or eat away at the nourishment of your soul? Are you getting enough sleep? Are you taking care of your physical body? So look at the physical, right? It's like almost a square here. There's the physical, there's the emotional, there's the mental, and there is the spiritual aspects. And we have to nourish all 4 aspects in order to unlock joy. And this is what this is really drawing your attention to, is your choices around how you choose to nourish yourself and how you choose to nourish others. Usually, as a species, we are trained very well to know how to give, but we are not very well trained to learn how to look after ourselves and to nourish and give to ourselves and receive. So think about how you share and spread joy. Do you spread joy or do you spread negativity? How do you engage with others? And how do you build nourishment within yourself? Now, this changing line 2, is very much drawing your attention to the idea that the place that you are seeking nourishment is not where your nourishment is to be found. Okay. And it talks about going and seeking nourishment on the summit of a hill. Okay. And in so doing, you deviate from your path. You deviate from what is true to you. You seek nourishment from somewhere else that's not in alignment with you and your energy and what brings you joy. And so in seeking joy, perhaps this is an expectation you've created for yourself that you must find joy here. But actually your path and what really feeds your soul is over here. And so the longer we spend seeking nourishment in places on the summit that is not ours, we get ourselves into a whole world of hurt, of being disconnected from the nourishment that really brings us joy, that unlocks joy. With this changing line, it also speaks this idea of, either we are responsible for nourishing and putting food on the table for ourselves, or we are dependents from people who have a responsibility to look after us. When we are expecting others to look after us, when we are capable of looking after ourselves, we create this disconnect. And this changing line calls us to ask some tough questions around that. Are we shirking some of the responsibility of nourishing ourselves and putting food on the table? And of course, putting food on the table can mean literally finance, or it can mean other forms of nourishment. So unlocking joy is tied to making better choices around where our nourishment is found, what really feeds our physical body, our emotional body, our mental body, and our spiritual body, and not trying to seek it in some far distant pinnacle where it is not aligned with the flow that is true to us. Now, with this hexagram below here, the nuclear is what's at the heart of the situation, okay? And hexagram 2 receptive is all about being open, receptive, and nurturing and supporting and holding the space for growth to happen. It's the fertile ground that we use to support growth, not to generate growth. And I think that part of this process is really being open, okay? Being open and receptive to nourishment. Maybe receiving nourishment from others is a little tough for you, and part of this process is being open to receiving that from others. So just work with this idea of being receptive and open and being in your female energy, no matter what, male, female, other, whatever you are, is just being open and being in your receptivity, being a receptacle to others supporting you with nourishment. Okay. Now, the second part of this, we're going to look at the outcome or relating hexagram. And this hexagram is mountain over lake, and it is the hexagram called 41 decrease. We sometimes panic when we see these labels on these hexagrams that decrease means, loss. It does potentially mean a reduction in cash, a reduction in flow, a reduction in time. But what it's calling us to do, when it's calling us to focus on, related to your question of how do you unlock joy, it's asking us to put down the things that are superfluous. Decrease is the laser beam. I don't even know if I can draw a laser beam. Okay. All right. Let's put an arrow, right? Going a shining laser beam going to a little pinprick of a spot. Now, if we take our energy and we are a flashlight with a very broad, circumference or light area, we shine our light in a dissipated way across a whole broad spectrum. What this hexagram is asking us to do is to focus, focus, focus. This is put down expenses that are not necessary, put down activities, relationships, where our energy goes, being really conscious and making some choices around how we focus our energy. This hexagram related to your question, I feel, is saying to you that in this process of nourishment, what you need to do to unlock joy is put down all the things that suck the life out of you, that take your joy away. I would hazard a guess, my gut feel says that possibly as a giver, because this is asking you to be open and receiving, perhaps you give, all right? And so what's happened is that your energy is drawn into all kinds of things. This flashlight shining over a broad area into all kinds of things that are not core to your nourishment and what unlocks joy. And so the way that we unlock joy is we put down the things that are unnecessary, excessive, and we get back to the grassroots of what's important to us. Decrease the things that are excessive, that are unnecessary, that are, drawing off energy, that are unnecessary. Keep things simple and get back to the simple things. And as you do that, as you put things down, you're going to find your nourishment goes up, your joy goes up. I would even say that with this combination, when we look at this physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual, use this grid to look at what are the things that you can decrease on each of these levels to accelerate your nourishment. What can you decrease in your use of time, in what you're eating? Could you decrease the amount of time you're awake, improve your sleep? What are some of the things that you could decrease, that you could put down that are no longer good for you or no longer core or essential to you? Put them down so that you can unlock this nourishment and unlock the joy. Isn't that absolutely wonderful? Some simple strategies for you to work with, being conscious around what brings you joy, not seeking joy and seeking nourishment on the summit, seeking joy where you are, seeking joy where your flow is, and not having unrealistic expectations that your joy is found in some far distant place. It's found right at your feet where you're standing. Seek the nourishment and it will bring you the unlocking of joy. Thank you, C, for your wonderful question. And maybe there's some wisdom for all of us in thinking about unlocking joy. Where can we put this nourishment front and center? Where can we worry about what goes in our mouth, but also what comes out our mouth? And how do we put down the things that are unnecessary, that take our energy away unnecessarily? Thank you so much, C, for submitting your beautiful question. I trust that that's going to provide you with a lot of insight and application to go forward and work with. Thank you so much to everyone, to you being here with me. And of course, if you're learning the I Ching, have a look at the past tutorial videos. Have a look at how these might play out, how you could work with understanding the interpretation of really bringing the story together. You've got your current, your present hexagram, you've got your nuclear, your outcome, you've got your changing lines. There's a whole lot of information. And our ability to synthesize symbols into a coherent story is a critical requirement of developing your capacity to work with the I Ching for yourself and for others. Thank you so much for being here with me. Please share, subscribe, like, you know what to do. Be good to have you join us again at some future time. And of course, we have our weekly and our monthly overviews where we keep on working on a regular basis with the flows of change around us to mature our ability to understand the flow of change and to attune ourselves to what the highest principle is in the moment, and then to develop that principle in our lives. Thank you so much, and I look forward to seeing you soon.